Krishna.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. How's everyone doing? Okay. I saw a couple of hands go up and they said Chase Bank account, right? 2 hands I saw. So for those of you who don't know who we are a bank and supposedly the largest bank in the U.S. And we are also internationally present in over 100 countries, around 5,000 branches. So that is who we are, JPMorgan Chase. And what do we do there? That's what we're going to talk about. So we are from the platform team from JPMorgan Chase. I'm Shenba.
Patrick. Matt.
And we are here to share with you our journey through, running a platform, building and delivering through the platform. So all those 5,000 branches can be lit up all the time through all the software and applications and the services we host and run. So with that, let's start. So all those applications and services that run, that keeps the lights up, right? Most of them go through this platform, right? We call it SDLC platform, Software Development Lifecycle Platform, basically CI/CD. And as a bank, we are mandated that all the applications that go through this, right? So it's not like every application team can do their own stuff because there is security, compliance, a lot of regulations, and they get audited, et cetera, et cetera. So that kind of sets us apart, and that is where the scale comes into play. When doing this, it should be a piece of cake, right? With such a large bank, we do have challenges, which are very common. You can all probably relate to. We'll talk about that. So with that, let's get the talk started. So as many of you in the room today, all of you probably are in on-premises and in public cloud. We are no exception. We are continuously moving our services and some of the platform components, including our own CI platform to the public cloud, but we are still present in on-premises and private cloud. So when we are dealing with multiple environments, right, we have, so what does a CI system consist of, right? Very simple: build, test, do a bunch of scan, make sure everything checks out, and we publish. So we do have to deal with SEM. We have Bitbucket, GitHub, and a slew of tools for scanning and testing. And we do have an artifact management system. So, but what sets us apart is actually the number of developers and the applications that go through this platform on a daily basis. We are about 40,000 developers, working with our platform, trying to get their applications to deploy to production. And on any good day, we have about 150,000 or north of 150,000 pipelines that's running through the system. And code base wise, we have about 100 to 120,000 repos that are actively being worked on. So that's a very small scale, if you have noticed, right? Yes. And that is what mainly we'll focus on, talking about what are some of the challenges and how we are overcoming. We overcame some of them, and what are we looking forward to doing, and what are some of the ways we can manage that. So very, very, very simple list, right? Hey, it's easy when you have a feature you want to roll out. You send an email out, you must all have DL, right? It should reach and people will say, hey, Grand Enterprise is a great tool. It gives me so much of bill savings. Let me get in the line and enable it. No, it doesn't happen that way, right? Because the developers community we deal with as platform engineers, we are all aware that everybody has a lot of different priorities. They have to get their applications through. Whether they're going to wait 2 more minutes in the pipeline, who cares, right? But at the end of the day, they are measured because they need to be able to deploy predictably. That's what they are measured for. But at the same time, over a period of time, they don't know that it adds up latency, it adds up to their productivity impact, et cetera, et cetera. So whose job it is to explain it to them? It's us, platform team, right? But trying to get everybody to stand behind a great feature that'll reduce your toil, or that'll reduce your context switch, right? That'll mandate you to go through the audits and stuff that you're going to be scrutinized for later. All these things are what makes, right, platform engineering team more vital to a company like us. But we deal with a simple problem like communication because of the varied priorities across the company. So what are some of the ways we have managed? We'll talk about. So the next one, let's say we got past the communication problem. Now we are enabling, say, a feature, right? Is it going to be that easy? Because people read your email or went to your tech meetings and they are trying to enable. But will anything that you try to roll out, or even a Gradle Enterprise, even the vendor tool that Gradle Enterprise we are using, is it going to be that easy to just roll it out, give a documentation, and get it to work? No, there are going to be challenges because, again, thousands of teams with lots of customizations, different environment, on-prem and cloud. So there are going to be a lot of use cases that we don't know when we roll out, right? We have a good idea, but we can't meet all the needs, or we won't know it upfront. So one size doesn't actually fit all. On top of it, like I talked about, bank, so a lot of regulations, right? That's first and foremost. No matter whether we roll out a productivity tool or a feature behind the flag, right? We have to be 100% adherent to regulation. So these are some of the basic challenges. But why is this a big challenge if you think about it, right? Very simple set of challenges. The reason is because of the scale we deal with. So let's take a look. So as we have to deal with these challenges, right, as platform engineers, there is always the balancing act we need to do. Because for developers, everything has to just work, right? Don't tell me to do thing 1, thing 2, thing 3 to get 20% bill savings, right? Just make things work for me, because I have my problems to solve. I don't want to solve your problems, right? If you have latency, I don't want to be hit. That is the developer's expectation. And they want everything fast, right? And they don't want any variance in their system. And they don't want to do as much as lifting a little finger to do anything, right? Zero toil, basically, to get to where they want to go, which is deploy to production. So our primary focus is in obviously building the stable and the most scalable platform we can offer for our developers. However, that's just the tip of the iceberg. Behind the scenes, we still need to worry about making our platform secure, making sure all the audit trails are available for us at any time, so we can trace anything that went through the platform. And more importantly, we have to worry about how we operate, right? So as many of the talks today, as many of you have heard, it is not always a one-to-one in terms of ratio when it comes to developers, community in a company versus the platform engineers, right? Platform engineering team is usually small. I have seen, at least in my experience, anywhere from 1 to 1,000, 1 to 2,000, in some cases more than that. So operations, worrying about how you are going to be able to operate at scale, right? Keeping up the quality without regressing, still rolling out the features, and also being futuristic about where you want to go 2 years from now, 3 years from now, right? And not losing the competitive edge. So these are all the things that's, as a platform engineer, we need to worry about. Hey, so we do need to worry about our experience too, is what I'm trying to say. Hey, not all doomed. So far, we have done some good stuff too. So we have broken the monolith into microservices. It helped us with our public cloud transformation. And we are still continuing to do it. And we have broken down the stages in the CI side of the platform, running as many things in parallel, right? And definitely rolled out a policy engine, OPA-based, that is completely detached from the monolith service we had in the past. So that makes, that puts some controls back in the application team's hands, and they can tune, within the boundaries. And the boundaries is what the platform maintains for them or enforces for them. And obviously, making sure all the audits are saved and they are available for many years, slice, dice the data to do whatever you want to do. Set of engineers want data, set of managers want data, set of auditors want data. Everything comes from that. So you see Gradle Enterprise under the productivity dimension. So definitely Gradle Enterprises help us to move the builds faster. So this is one of the things we just saw in the developer's experience slide before this, right? So that is where we have spent most of our time, and we have seen a lot of improvements. Now, going back to our challenges, right? I just left you all hanging with hey, we have all these challenges. Now, Matt and Patrick will dig deeper into these challenges and relate to some of the things probably you are all going through and talk about how we overcome.
Yep. As well with the communication challenges, many developers have saying that there's too many email, too many tools that coming into the inbox. They didn't have time to go through them or to try out the new feature or new service that we offer to them. So in order to overcome those challenges, we do our best of our documentations, providing navigation trials that they can use to measure the baselines between using the tools before and after, so that they can have obvious advantage of using the service that we offer to them, as well some quick starting guides so that they can easily jump on and enable the features and then use it to see the advantage from there. And we also offer like tech firms that they can have a lab to work on those features, adapting, and immediately see the result on their projects. Or if they want to using a Hello World to just try out the features, then they can easily follow the instruction and using our lab environment to achieve those results. So on top of it, we're also working with the vendor sometimes to offer office hours so that the team can come in and with specific questions or the corner case that we are not yet addressed them in the general case, so that we can have those solved with the technical support from the vendor as well as our experience to solve those issues for them.
So enabling best practices is another thing that we strive to do, and 3 of them are listed here, the 3 R's of security. If you're not familiar, repaving is building up your infrastructure from zero on a regular cadence. We do it pretty frequently. It depends on the application, but as frequently as we can, and there needs to be a good reason if it's not as frequent as others. Rotate is for credentials. Of course, you're going to rotate those as frequently as you want, as you can. And we do it pretty frequently for regulatory reasons and as, to keep our systems as secure as they can be. And repair is, the meaning of that one is for keeping your dependencies up to date and patching and making updates as frequent, across the entire infrastructure.
So while we also working with the individual product team closely during office hour or onboarding their project into our solutions, we often found that there are special cases that not fit for all. So we work with them to come up with those corner cases, and then we come up with solutions so that we can help them to onboard and then achieve the optimization using the service that we offer. At the same time, we correct all the common cases so that we can document them or even put them into our blueprints so that those become a common platform for any new project onboarding or someone wants to just get the solution out of the box without doing further changes on the product code line. At the same time, we're offering the hooks so that they can have their customization put it in so that it specifically handle their use cases onto their project's CI pipelines.
And regulations require us to do some certain things, like it's not possible for every developer in the firm to see every repository, which makes it difficult for us to troubleshoot problems when they happen and to make changes, because you need to pull together engineers from a whole bunch of teams from different layers of the platform to be able to see the thing from end to end. And also at the same time, the environments are segmented for not just the deployment of applications, but also build and test, because you have to be able to prove during an audit that things were not influenced by any other application that was being built or tested on the same system.
So what are some of the lessons we have learned? Okay, some of that is cut there. We have learned full lessons, by the way. It's just the text that's cut. Some of the lessons we have learned through this, right? Like Matt was talking about, the code segmentation or the environment segmentation. All these are learnings as we are progressing through this and trying to evolve this platform. But one big learning that came out of it is no matter any great feature you want to try and roll out to developers for their good, or if you're trying to integrate a tool for the same, or it is very difficult to have the developer community line up and adapt, right? So what can we do to meet the developers where they are? So what I mean by that is, when you say, hey, you can get 20% savings running these builds parallelly in this environment, use test distribution, for example, in Gradle Enterprise, right? How do we make this personal to me? If I'm a developer, right, having an application, and I'm spending 10 minutes in my build cycle, right? Someone coming and telling me, hey, generally you can go down by 1 minute if you use this tool, it's not going to ring a bell, right? Instead, someone comes and tells me, Shanbhag, here is your repo A, right? You were taking 11 minutes. I have done some experiment with your repo, right, behind your back, but for a good thing, you're going to be able to save 3.5 minutes. Go take a look at this link, a build scan link in this case, for example. That's very compelling for me, right? When somebody tells me that I'm stupid, I'm wasting 3 minutes of my life multiple times in a day, will I sit tight? No, right? I'm going to be looking into how I can get there as fast as I can. And that is what the personalized ROI report, right? We work with Gradle Enterprise team, Develocity team now, and we have come up with a plugin that we can inject and look into, builds that goes through our platform, and then, get this report in front of the developers, right? So we talked about communication, right? So now it's still communication. It's still going to be an email with the link. But the only difference here is it matters to me. Matters to me when it comes to me, right? It talks my language. It tells me things that I know of, I care about. So that is what meeting the developers where they are is. And of course, this does not replace the workshops and the forums that Patrick was talking about earlier. They are still very important, right? Fundamental. But here are some ways we can accelerate when we think about doing this.
Okay, so I know you're not supposed to read it from slides, but since you can't read this, I guess I can.
Yes, that was intent.
So anyway, the only thing worse than toil is toil at scale. And the way that we can, as a company is larger and larger, it makes more sense to take smaller and smaller pieces of toil and eliminate them across the entire firm. So since we have a large company, a lot of developers, we try to focus on eliminating as much toil as we can anywhere we can find it. And in the same way that I think the previous two talks or something, like a lot of companies have been doing the automated PRs. We use Open Rewrite for that to do the dependencies. It's to solve the 3R enabling, keeping dependencies up to date. And since we have so many repositories, I think as we mentioned before, not a mono repo across the entire company. We can't do it in the simple way of a mono repo. And so automation of the PRs to make it one-click updates across the firm is one solution we've implemented. And also blueprints for new projects. So you want to have a template so that everyone starts with the same base, and then also, again, using the Open Rewrite to update whenever the blueprint is updated. So anyone who uses that blueprint will also have an avenue to keep up to date with the current blueprint.
So when we are approaching individual project teams, we're also taking an approach to correct the data before we approaching them. Like, for example, we correct 10 projects with the most longest build time and analyze those build times and see where segment is taking the most of the time. And to enable Gradle Enterprise, for example, into the CI pipeline and see if does do the build time saving for them, and what other area that have do the saving and what other areas still needs the improvement. At the same time, we provide the feedback back to the vendor saying that in our test framework, we have a lot more so it depends on the Cucumber framework, and that's why we're working with the vendor to get the support onto those areas so that we can continue getting the support and roll out and take advantage of the framework that we can offer to them. So those are the data we continue monitoring and with the team, and then to see them before and after of the onboarding. As well, after the onboarding, we continue monitor those performance data so that we can see if there any regression has been taking place because of a new component being added in, new feature being introduced into the project, and how do we further optimize those modules for the build time optimizations. So this is a continued effort using the data to monitor, as well continuing integration, engaging with the project team to achieve the best result for using our platform.
So we have 2 minutes left, so I'm going to rush through this, but we'll leave you plenty of time for questions. So at the end of all this, did we cover keep them the last point. Okay. So measuring experience, monitoring regressions is also one of the main things as we move forward in this thing. So that brings us to the last slide. At the end of the day, none of this matters if you are not able to measure. Talk to developers, talk to people, and showing them the value, right? But that's not the only reason, right? So when you are dealing with a scale as big as this, we talked about, it's very important that there are a lot of moving parts. Many people have different priorities, right? And at the same time, we are running fast, but we can't run together, right? Trying to get as many people as possible to get on the bandwagon, to utilize all the developer productivity features and tools we are rolling out. And it's also important at the same time to measure their experience as much as we want to measure our developers' experience, making sure they have no toil, they have no context switches. It's also important, very important to measure our experience, right? As platform engineers, right? Are we knowing if our platform fails? Are we the first one to know? Or somebody coming and telling me, your platform is failing, you didn't know about it. And also making sure, right, we don't have any audit issues, since as a bank, regulatory mandates are very, very key to our success. So there are some ways we are thinking of measuring these. Some of them we have already worked on, like for predictability. This is what developers care about. They don't want any variance in the system. So it's very simple to measure all this. They're all plain math. But when it comes to reliability, again, we talked about how personal it has to be for me to care about. It doesn't matter if my platform is up and running 99% or 100% of the time. It matters to me as a developer if it is working reliably for me. So for my application, for my service that I'm going through with this in this platform, how reliable is the platform? So again, double-clicking on the reliability and making it more personalized for the application teams is what we are working on, and we are seeing some good progress in the measurement of success there. So that kind of sums up, some of the challenges we have had, very common, that you can all relate to, and how we overcame some of them. Some of them we are still working on different ways to mitigate and to get to a better place together.